Are you trying to raise your credit score? Have you been disputing and it just keeps coming back as verified? It's frustrating. That's something that I went through in 2013 after I filed bankruptcy. So in 2012, I got out of the military and I ended up unfortunately having to file bankruptcy the very next year because the housing market had already crashed and my home was worth less than what I owed on it. So through that process, I can honestly say before I never knew anything about credit. My parents didn't teach me. I hadn't learned in school. I just hadn't learned about credit. And I really didn't have that much of an interest in it. And the reason why is because I was in the military. It wasn't hard to get a lot of things. Lenders knew, when they see military, they know that they're going to get their money, So I didn't have a problem with getting anything. So I never even really knew what my credit score was until I ended up trying to fix it after my bankruptcy. And through that process, I learned not only the credit laws, but I learned about the science behind disputing. And it just really empowered me. And it was information that I was able to use to get all those negative items removed off my credit report. And I was able to help other people. And so I'm going to share that information with you today in this video. So first things first, how to dispute. You want to make sure you send your disputes by mail only. You don't want to dispute online, and I'll explain why in my video that's going to talk about the common mistakes that people make when disputing. So you want to send it by mail, you want to send it by certified mail, and you want to have that signature receipt. That signature receipt just proves that someone actually did receive your letter at the credit bureau, so they can't say that they didn't. Also, it helps you create a paper trail. So if you ever have to file a complaint against the credit bureaus, you have copies of your dispute letters that you sent, as well as those certified mail receipts. Now, the other thing that you want to include when you're disputing is you actually want to include copies of your driver's license, your social security card, as well as a recent bill. And the reason why you want to do that is because sometimes credit bureaus, they'll write you will write a dispute letter and they'll come back and say, how do we know this is you? Please provide us with a copy of your driver's license, or please provide us a copy with your social or something like that. So just to avoid you wasting your money sending your first letter certified only for them to come back, you should just attach that information with your letter. Now, as for the 5 components of a dispute letter, the first thing is your personal information. So you're going to include your name, your address, your date of birth, your social security number. You don't have to include your full social. You can just include the last 4. It's up to you. The second component is an opening statement. An opening statement is just your intent to dispute. So it can be as simple as saying, I recently reviewed my credit report and I found some discrepancies. The third thing is the accounts that you're going to list in your letter. You don't want to list more than 5. Now, we'll be honest, when I was disputing, I did dispute more than 5 things, and I was able to have success with doing that. My accounts weren't, my letters weren't flagged as frivolous or anything like that. But I recommend that people only do 5 accounts so that it won't be marked frivolous. You also want to make sure that you have the correct account information. So you want to have the account name, the account number, and the amount. And what I mean by the correct information is if you have a Bank of America account and that same account is reporting on Experian and TransUnion, they may not be reporting the same way, which more than likely they aren't, because a lot of credit reports, if you actually look at your report, you'll see a bunch of inaccuracies. So if Experian is reporting 6 digits for the account number, then you want to make sure that when you write to Experian that you're including those 6 digits. But don't assume that TransUnion has a 6 digits. Go look at your TransUnion report. If they're only reporting 2 digits, then when in your dispute letter to TransUnion, it should be just those 2 digits. Don't give them any more information than they need. Now, the fourth component is a closing statement. The closing statement definitely should have the FCRA laws included, and I will put down below in the description the 2 laws that I use. You don't have to use a bunch of laws or write a whole sheet full of laws. Some people do that. Just 2. And the whole purpose of that is just to let the credit bureaus know that you know your rights as a consumer. And the 5th component is simply your name. You want to print your first and last name. Do not sign any dispute letters because your signature can be used against you. So make sure you just print your first and your last name at the end of your dispute letter. Now, I'll be doing future videos. This is my first video, so I'll be doing future videos to talk about common mistakes that people make when they're disputing. I get a lot of questions about collections, so I'll be doing a video on that as well. But below in the description in this video, I'm going to actually include a template for letters that I've used that have worked for me. I'm also going to include each credit bureau's address, and then I'm also going to include those 2 FCRA laws that I use in my letters. Until next time.